Jamal Williams has really sort of run the ball well. I guess most of the season he's on pace for his first career 1,000-yard season. A lot of times maybe he hasn't had the volume of carries that backs have had early in the year, but this is the time when maybe backs aren't at his age, they start to tail off. What have you seen from him that makes him just stronger and better than he has been to this point in his career?
Yeah, I think since we got him even a year ago, he's been the model of consistency for us offensively. He runs hard. It might not be flashy or sexy all the time, but he finds a way to always be falling forward when he's being tackled. He'll find creases. He's got great vision. And he's shown the ability to break tackles and potentially have some explosive runs for us too. So minus the one game, the Dallas game, I mean, he's been exactly what we want from a physical downhill running back. He's really embraced that role, and especially with Swifty being dinged up here and there, he's been able to take on a greater workload, and it's been a great thing for us offensively.
Sense when the impact that he has on a defense, how much he can wear on them, just his power.
We felt that last week, especially that second touchdown drive when we needed it. We were able to rely on our offensive line and our ground game, and you could, at least I could on the sideline, could feel where we were wearing them down a little bit. And once again, it wasn't like we were getting explosive gains, but it was the consistent 3, 4, 5, boom, ba boom, ba boom, and we methodically took it down the field that way. And I think that's a great thing to have. I think we've shown over the course of the season we have the ability to be explosive, but at the same time we can extend the drive and play a little bit more small ball if needed. Whatever's called upon. And Jamal's a big part of the reason why we're able to do that.
Explain that a little bit more as a play caller. I think he ran 6 straight times on that drive. I'm sure that's never really the plan in the moment. So how do you get to that point? When do you get a sense that you're just going to keep going and going and going to it until they make it stop?
Yeah. So I got a random number generator.
Yeah.
And if it's between 1 and 100. If it's under 50, I'm going to run it. If it's over 50, I'm going to throw it. If it's right on 50, it's dealer's choice. I get a pick. So, yeah, it's just luck of the draw. No, I mean it is a feel. It is a feel, and we take a lot of pride in being able to mix it up and guys not getting a beat on us. But I think sometimes when you run it 6 times in a row, they're not exactly expecting that either. So. No, it felt good to be able to do that and come away with points that drive.
I know the numbers weren't massive in terms of catches and yards, but there were some impact plays from your young tight ends, Alshire with a touchdown, Mitchell with a touch. Just how proud were you of those guys to step up in that moment? Obviously after trading away TJ and to get some impact plays from those guys, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, they stepped up and they did a great job in the run game too for the most part. They'll continue to make strides here over the second half of the season as they're getting more reps, more practice opportunities as well. So really looking forward to seeing them grow. But they answered the bell for what was given to them last week, and I mean you never know. Is it going to be 10 receptions? Is it going to be maybe just 1 target for the game? You just never know how it unfolds. But I have confidence in them. That is a good thing. And the more we get them out there, I think the more that'll grow for the whole unit.
They traded away a couple of their top defense players, Chicago and Quinn and Smith. And in the subsequent 2 weeks, they've given them an average of 42 points. And those are pretty good offenses. But what have you seen from Chicago's defense where they're kind of adjusting to life without those guys, and what do they still do pretty well?
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for their coaching staff. I think I was in Miami a few years ago when we played Indy, and I remember thinking that defense, because it's the same style defense that he was running in Indy. I was like, holy cow, they're really well coached. You can tell just by playing them what they're being taught to do, because all the defensive players were doing it. So I have a lot of respect for them as a coaching staff and what they do schematically and technique wise. In terms of their personnel, you're right. They did get. They did trade away a couple really good players, but they are young, they are hungry, they fly around. So it's one of those games where it is a high-effort game. It's the team that finishes through the whistle will have success. We're aware of that. they could make some mistakes. I think that's shown up a little bit on tape, but they get better every week. So even though they've given up some points and some yards, this will be a good challenge for us on the road. They do a great job mixing up their defenses as well. There's a number of different coverages, and when you look at it, okay, it's cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, but there's a lot of variety, and it's rarely the same call twice. So got to stay on top of our game.
Looks like Eddie's playing pretty good football too.
Yeah.
To taking the ball away for already. Just what you've seen from him, is he dangerous? You got to be careful.
Shoot, he's been a great player for a number of years, and really he's the one guy on their back end because they got the 2 rookies. They got 6 and 9. So Eddie really, in my mind, carries that role of being a leader on defense, and you can see he's making calls. They're making adjustments based on the formation. He's leading that charge, and he finds a way to be around the football. He's equally effective playing the middle of the field as a post safety as well as he is down in the box, which that's about as good as you can be as a safety. If you can do both roles really well, he's a guy that we have to be aware of at all times. It's good.
You guys averaged 35 points, the first 4 games, and the points haven't quite been there the last few weeks. Miami was, scored a little bit there, but is it just as simple as not having Swift or some of those injuries? Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 games we haven't been nearly as explosive. I want to say, just by our metrics, there were 5 explosives 2 weeks ago, and then only 4 last week. Which really we've been averaging over 8. Early in the season there. So the explosive game hasn't been there, and that's not just throwing the ball down the field or getting the big runs. It's also some of these opportunities we have to get the ball in our hands short and making a tackler miss and creating something that way. So we are always on the search to get those explosive. When we do those explosive plays, it typically generates more points for us. But like I said, if we're not quite as explosive, it was encouraging to see that second touchdown drive. Okay, well, shoot, we'll just methodically boom, 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 take it on down, and that can still result in points. It's just when you play ball that way, the margin of error gets a little bit smaller, and you got to be great on third down, which we haven't been. So, to me, that's the difference between early in the season and the last few games is the explosive plays haven't quite been there.
So what's an
Is that
explosive
just
play?
about not having Swift, or how do you generate more of that? Swift, he's a big part.
Yeah, it's certainly player driven. I think the most explosive teams in the league have the best skill players. That's why teams are going after all these receivers in free agency in the draft right now. So that plays a big part of it. But also I think scheme can help that. And if you can get the right play against the right coverage, generally speaking, that can be a good thing. But you watch it. Sometimes, I look back at the first 8 games here. I've had some of my best calls, in my opinion, have resulted in 0 yards, and we've just been that close to hit. And then some of my worst calls have been some big plays for us because the players make it right. And that's kind of the give and take, of play calling. So generally speaking, it's on these guys if we can get the ball in their hands to make something happen. But we're trying to create as much separation schematically to help them. Tim, to answer your question, for us upstairs, we go a run play of 12 or more and a pass play of 16 or more. And I think different places do it a little bit different, but that's what we typically stick to.
You had some musical chairs a little bit in the offensive line early in the season, just due to injuries. Seems like Evans really settled into a groove at guard after making kind of that adjustment from center and some of the technique changes there. How well is he playing in your opinion, and how much does that stabilize the entire unit to have you're only as strong as your weakest link, right?
Yeah, he gives us that ability. Really, it's not we need to be right-handed or left-handed. I think we can function either way. It's a great feeling that you're not having to call the game off of somebody up front. How do we help this player? Really, we don't do that for the most part, unless we have a particular war daddy on the other side that we're trying to account for. But he is really helped us. He's been a shot in the arm, just like you said. And the best thing about it, he's so smart because he's a center, really at his core, that he knows exactly what we're trying to get done. And so the smarter we are up front, the more multiple we can be, and make it a little bit harder for defenses to defend.
Watching Swift last game, felt like he was trying to get in the game a little bit more than he actually was. So where are you guys at with his health? Where's he at with his health? Are they in agreement with each other? Or?
I think he got pissed off a little bit. He caught that third down and was just a little bit short, and we took him out. But that's good. That's good. That means he's going the right direction for us. No, it's a balance right now for him because once again he hasn't felt 100%. And it's been a big part of it. Is when he's feeling good, and it's going to show up on Sunday, in a positive way for us. So we'll see. We'll see as the week goes on in practice. We'll see on Sunday as we get into the game just how much or how little we use them.
How hard is it as a coach to get players to be honest about that, like how good they want to play, they want to whatever.
Yeah.
You have to know what it is.
I think you got to know the player. Yeah, I think you got to know the player. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the whole offensive line, they're dealing with something, and they won't say a word about it. And honestly, I think we have a tough group overall on offense. So majority of them are that way, and they're battling through it. And I won't forget, one of Coach Campbell's first days here, he just talked about this league, particularly at this point of the season, throughout the end of the season, is how well can you function at 85%? Because that's where everyone that's been playing ball. So those guys have adhered to that message, and I think it's shown up for the most part with our group.
Just a quick follow-up. Do you use tracking data? How much do you use that to, the numbers in practice to tell you if a player is where he needs to be, should be, if he's lying?
Yeah. We have a whole department with Mike Clark that every single day we hear the volume, the intensity, the guys we need to keep a look at just out on the practice field, maybe limit the number of practice reps they're getting just because they're fatigued. But yeah, we're on the cutting edge, I think, of all that stuff.
Like he can tell you if Swift is running a mile slower than he usually is.
That's right.
That allows you to know
Yeah.
better to put him in the game.
Oh yeah, that's every day staff meeting we go over. Hey, here are 3 or 4 guys we need to watch. Here are the guys that are really doing well. So keep working them.